section today is going to be a little bit more restorative than the previous ones that I was posting. I kind of started with my introduction saying that there'd be a starter, main course, dessert, and maybe the odd side dish. And I just noticed I haven't published any desserts yet. So this one is a little bit lower key, a little bit deeper. So we are going to get a little bit deeper into the hips and into the chest. But just a nice little one to do, maybe if you were quite active over the weekend, especially with the gorgeous weather we've been having. So it's just a little bit of R&R, a little bit of rest and relaxation. Again, by all means, feel free to start with a starter, do a main course, and then come into this. So if you do want a little bit more of an active session for your Monday, but otherwise, just take it easy and join me on the mat. So we're going to start lying back. Again, just checking in that your lower back is nicely grounded into the mat. So a nice neutral spine. Maybe tucking your chin a little bit to release the back of the neck. And then we're going to bring the feet about the width of the mat apart. We can either bring our arms out in line with our shoulders, or we'll just move the props out of the way. We can come into a nice little cactus shape with our arms. So again, if the hands aren't actually on the ground here, you're probably better just drawing them even a little bit closer to the body until they are rested down. So it is a restorative enough little session we're doing here, so we don't want to feel the hands are hanging out there. Cactus is really nice because it allows you to walk those shoulder blades together, get a little bit of space into the chest, and get that lovely little bit of space into the shoulder joints themselves. Okay. From here, we're just going to allow the knees knock in toward each other, and we're just going to gently windscreen wiper the knees side to side. And we're going to look the opposite direction as to where the knees are falling, so we're getting a nice little twist and rotation into the spine. We're pressing the glutes into the ground, getting a nice little massage into the glutes, into the lower back. And again, you can do this as slow or as fast as you wish, just creating a little bit of movement in through the spine, particularly into that lower back, really pressing it into the ground. Lovely, and then just slowly coming back to centre. From here, we're going to hug the knees in toward the chest, but again, I want you to make sure that your lower back is connected to the mat. So you're not hugging them in here and you're rocking and rolling. You want to make sure that lower back is nice and grounded. We're going to come into a little happy baby pose here. So we're going to draw both knees outward toward the armpits, toward the ground beside us, and then we're going to draw the soles of the feet parallel to the ceiling. And then, depending on where you're at in the hips, we can either hold on to the shins, the ankles, maybe inner arches of the feet, or we can interlock middle and index finger around the big toes. So wherever those hands are at, you want to make sure that lower back is still grounded. So if your hands are up here, but you're rocking up here, just bring the hands a little bit lower toward the knees until you feel that support in the lower back. Again, if you're already quite open into the hips, you can always draw the elbows inside the knees, just acting as an extra little prop to get a little bit more depth into the hips. So, as we inhale, we're going to press the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling, and as we exhale, we're drawing the knees down toward the ground beside us. So, inhale, pressing upward, exhale, drawing down. So, continuing with your own breath, we're inhale up, exhale a little bit deeper. Three more breaths. Again, every exhale, we're trying to access a little bit more space into those hips. Feeling this into the hamstrings a little bit too. Last one. And then from here, we're going to draw the soles of the feet together and we're going to interlock our hands around the back of the feet. So if that doesn't quite get there, or if it gets there but you're rolling up into the upper back, which we want to try to avoid, we want to work those shoulder blades together, so we're always maintaining that space in the chest. We want to keep that spine grounded into the mat. So you can always get your towel here, so if the soles of the feet don't come together easily, use this as a little extra length into the arms, so we're wrapping it around the outer blades of the feet, using it as a wee arm extension, so it means that we can really open into the chest and still work into the hips. So as we inhale, I want you to think about drawing your chest upwards, working your shoulder blades together and connecting the spine. And as we exhale, we're going to press the soles of the feet together and work those knees away from the body. So don't be afraid to use the strap of the towel. It just allows us access space in the hips and into the chest. And again, we're inhale, lengthening, and we're exhale, deepening a little bit more. So we're just trying to create a little bit of space into the hips so that when we get a little bit deeper in our future poses, it's not going to be a shock to the actual muscle fibers. And then slowly release the grip. You can drop the towel off to the side. We're going to hug those knees in and we're going to crisscross at the ankles. And we're going to take 4 or 5 rolls forward and back along the mat, using that motion to massage the full length of the spine into the ground. So give it a nice little massage. And when you've taken your 4 or 5 rolls, we're going to engage the core to draw ourselves up to seat. So I'm going to face you face on for this, but you can stay at lengthways on the mat just so you can see what I'm doing. So a nice easy cross-legged position on the mat. Again, if cross-legged isn't so good, if it doesn't feel so good in the knees, you can always extend the legs out in front or just come into a nice little relaxed little diamond, or you can always sit back onto the heels. So whatever feels good with you. So from here, we want to make sure those sit bones are nicely grounded into the mat so we feel nice and stable. We're going to draw the shoulder blades back, we're going to engage the core, we're going to lengthen through the spine. We're going to open the palms to face the ceiling, and we're going to inhale, arms out, reaching up, interlocking fingers, exhale, pressing it forward. 3 more like that. Gaze follows the hands. Exhale it forward. Inhale, nice big circles. Exhale, really stretching between the shoulders. 1 more. We're going to inhale up 1 more time. And this time as we exhale, we're going to reach the left hand forward, right arm behind. And we're going to rest that left hand just above the right knee. And we're going to draw the heel of that right hand right up against the spine. So we're just using that back hand as a nice little prop to remind us to sit nice and tall in the spine. So we're not falling back into the hand, we're not curling into that front of the body, we're keeping that nice length in the spine, that nice openness in the chest. As we inhale, lengthen the spine, and as we exhale, we're going to press that left hand into the right leg. We're going to look over that right shoulder. Again, gaze goes over the shoulder only if it feels okay in the neck. And we're trying to get the front of the body almost parallel to the side of the room. So as we inhale, we're lengthening. As we exhale, we're twisting. See if you can really breathe deep into the belly here. So all of our twists, we want to focus on that belly breath. The last 2 breaths. Last one. And then slowly release it back to center. We're just going to bring the hands over to the left, taking a little micro bend to the side, just enough to release the twist. and then we're going to draw it back to center. From here we're going to reverse the crisscross of our legs if they're crossed, just to maintain a little bit of balance. And we'll open the palms to the ceiling, drawing the shoulders back, nice and strong in the core, long in the spine, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, reaching up. And as we exhale, right arm moves forward, left arm behind. Again, we can rest that right hand just above the left knee, bringing the heel of that left hand nice and close to the spine. Maybe even walking that left arm around the body a little bit more, so you're already starting that twist into the spine. As we inhale, lengthening, and as we exhale, pressing that right hand into the leg, taking the gaze over the left shoulder, really drawing that left shoulder back, keeping the core engaged as we breathe deeply into the belly. So we're inhale, lengthening, exhale, twisting. So we're really starting that rotation from the lower back, right through the middle back, upper back, and right through the neck. So starting that twist where the range is most limited. Last breath. And then slowly drawing it back to center. Again, little micro bend to the right, just enough to release the twist. And then coming back to center. Again, we can reverse the crisscross of our legs here. Just checking in that you have your props, your block, your towel close by. And again, we're going to stay here, resting the hands open. So we're going to work a little bit more into the lower back here. So we're after opening up into the spine a little bit, and we're going to try to take advantage of that into the lower back. So we're going to inhale, arms out, reaching up. Exhale, we're going to press those palms forward, keeping a nice space into the chest. So we're hinging from that lower back. And we're reaching as far as we can go, and then we'll rest the hands out in front. Again, you might find you're only getting to here. That's quite okay. So once you're feeling a little stretch, a little bit of space into the lower back, if that's where you want to be, you should also feel a little stretch into one of your glutes, so depending on which way you have your legs crossed. So as we inhale, we're going to really press the chest forward as much as we can, trying to keep the spine nice and long. And as we exhale, maybe walking those fingertips forward a little bit more. And eventually we might rest the head down onto the ground, maybe onto a block, maybe at its higher level. So whatever feels good, and just try to release into the pose. So if you are up here, just allow the head relax. And again, every exhale, see if you can walk forward just a little bit more. We're going to hold this here for a few breaths. And again, I like, because I myself would be tight enough in the hamstrings and lower back, I do like to bring the breath into this to see if I can get a little bit more space. So again, as I inhale, I'm lengthening through the spine, pressing the chest forward. And as I exhale, walking those fingertips forward a little bit more. And always pressing the ground away so you feel those sit bones really grinding their way into the mat. One more breath. And then slowly walking the hands back up, tucking the chin in, head comes up last. And we're going to do that on the other side. So again, reversing the crisscross, resting the palms open, nice length in the spine. We're going to inhale up, interlocking fingers, exhale, pressing it forward, pressing the chest forward as much as we can. Again, allowing the belly sink. Again, we're pressing the ground away, so we're really sitting those sit bones back. We should feel a nice little stretch into the opposite glute this time. And again, as we inhale, pressing the chest forward. As we exhale, walking those fingertips forward a little bit more. Relaxing the head and neck wherever it's at. Even giving it a little shake just to remind it to relax. And so we're allowing the weight of the head, the body, the breath, bring us a little bit deeper into that fold. We're trying to keep that length in the spine. So we're not doing this, we're not curling forward just so that we can touch the ground. We want to keep that chest open and then walk forward. So we're not trying to accentuate that curve in the upper back, we're trying to keep that length. We're working predominantly in the lower back and keeping that space into the chest and spine. The last couple of breaths. And then slowly tucking the chin in, walking the hands back toward the body and sitting back. From here, I'm going to bring it lengthways onto the mat again. You stay just where you are. And we're going to bring it back into our tabletop. So I've done this one with you before, but it's a lovely pose. So we're going to do a few little cat-cow, curl, spine mobilizers. So again, starting with a neutral spine, knees about hip width distance apart, shoulders over elbows over wrists and elbow creases slightly forward, pressing all corners of the hands into the mat, but we're staying light in the wrists, so all the pressure is just into the finger pads and knuckles. When you're ready, we're going to inhale, pressing the chest forward, gaze up toward the ceiling, arching through the spine. Exhale, pressing into the mat, curling through the spine, gazing back to the belly. Inhale, gaze goes forward and up. Exhale, curling through, releasing the shoulder blades. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, curling through. Closing down the eyes and just working with your own breath through that same movement. Allowing the breath, allowing that movement, access all the points along the spine. So you're feeling like you're opening up every single last little vertebrae, and getting the energy flowing, getting the blood flowing. Anywhere you feel particularly tight, so often it's between the shoulder blades, just taking an extra couple of breaths into that space. Again, you can press it back into child's pose if it feels good. You can work all the way into upward dog, so whatever feels good for your spine. So just taking that movement. And then eventually we're going to come back onto our tabletop. Again, just checking in that you have your props near the front of the mat so you can reach them. Again, just in case you need them for this next bit. So we're going to come into puppy pose, so another nice little restorative pose. Again, if this feels a little bit niggly on your knees, you can always place a towel as an extra little padding under the knees, or you can tuck the toes under, so whatever feels good. So we're going to stay in our tabletop with our lower body, so hips are in line with the knees. Then we're going to come down onto our forearms, and then we're going to walk our arms out in front, and we're going to rest the head onto the mat. So this is our puppy pose. Nice little chest opener, still working into the lower back. And just noticing if you're dumping into the lower back, just slight little contraction of the core so you're keeping your spine nice and long. And we're just resting the head down, reaching the fingertips out. Just going to hang out here for a few breaths. And again, if you feel, actually I want to work a little bit deeper into my shoulders, you can always bring one of your blocks out in front, rest the hands onto the block, and then rest the head down between, but just make sure the head is actually supported on the ground. So we're going to stay here for about a minute to start. So again, we're working a little bit more into that deeper fascia. So that tissue we were talking about before, which runs in bands all throughout the body, binding our muscles, ligaments, tendons, bones together. So we're looking at this lovely line of posterior fascia here. So just by opening up
that space even between the shoulders. We might release something down into the arms, into the lower back. And it's only through these deeper restorative poses that we're really able to access those bands of tissue. And again, really drawing that breath into the belly. From here, we're going to make a little fist with the hands. So we're going to interlock our hands into a little fist. Then we're going to bend our elbows and we're going to rest that fist at the base of our neck. And again, you might need to adjust your elbows out so that your head falls in between the arms. And this is just bringing a little extra stretch into the triceps and into the shoulder girdle. So again, get nice and comfortable. We're going to hold it here for another half a minute. Again, checking in with that spine, checking in with that tummy. Releasing the fist back out in front. We're going to tuck the chin under and we're going to walk the hands back toward the body. Just coming into a nice gentle child's pose. So we go wide-legged with this, just keeping that little bit of openness into the hips. So toes are together, knees are width of the mat apart. We're resting our hands out in front and resting the head down onto the mat. Pressing the ground away, pressing those sit bones back toward the heels. Two more breaths. And from here, we're going to make our way down onto our bellies. Okay. So from here, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the hips. So we should feel quite warmed up into the hips, particularly if we've done a little bit of vinyasa flow or sun salutations before. So just make sure you do feel quite warmed up. From here, we're going to come into a little half frog pose. So we're on our bellies, we're on our forearms to start with. We're going to bend that left knee so that our hip is in line with our knee is in line with our ankle, and our ankle is in line with our toe. Now if the glutes are quite tight, which mine actually are at the moment, I've been running in the mountains there this morning, you're going to really feel that, and it might start to feel a little bit crampy, but just try to really relax the muscle. You're drawing that left hip bone down toward the ground. So you can stay high on the forearms if that feels okay. If you want to make it a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more restorative, make a little pillow with your hands and just rest the head down. It's actually nice if you look to the opposite direction, just brings that left hip down a little bit easier to the ground. And we're going to hold it here for, again, about a minute until you really feel that fascia starting to open up. Again, if you want to bring it a little bit deeper, that knee can always come a little bit higher. So in line with the hips or a little bit higher. Again, as you move through the pose, you might feel, oh yeah, actually I could go a little bit deeper into this. If it doesn't feel quite right, just back it off. Last couple of breaths here. And then gently we're going to release that left leg to meet the right. And just gently rocking the hips side to side. So you should feel that into your left hip and into the glute. And we're just rocking the hips side to side to release it. And then when you're ready, up in the forearms again. We're going to bend that right knee. Again, nice right angles, hip to knee, knee to heel, heel to toe. And again, we can choose to stay on the forearms. Again, if we are on the forearms, bring those elbows back in line with the shoulders and we're working the chest forward. So a little bit of a Sphinx variation here. We're keeping the core engaged and we're just allowing that hip totally release. So see if you can switch off the glute muscles, the bum muscles here. Again, feel free to take it down. Make it a little pillow with the hands and look in the opposite way. So looking to the left this time. And again, adjusting the hip until you really feel, yeah, that feels good into that right hip and getting a little release into the glute. You can always walk that left foot back a little bit more to help get that space into the front of the pelvis. And again, just relax the breath. Work with that lovely full belly breath. So again, these hip releases are absolutely magical, particularly for endurance athletes. Spend a lot of time, a lot of hours on, you know, running, biking, whatever it is that you do. Those hips are just tightening up, tightening up, tightening up. So just by helping release them, we're helping release all those little niggles all down the lines of the body. So all down through the legs, maybe all the way up into the spine. Even a bit of tightness in the hips, you could start to feel it in the neck. Okay, so it's all connected. So working into these fascia bands, we're helping release everything along that chain. Last couple of breaths here. And then slowly release that right foot to meet the left. And again, just gently rocking the hips side to side. Feeling that right hip, that right glute. And for our last little pose, we're going to get really deep into the hips. So we're going to get our mats. And just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to be facing you for this one. So I'm going to make a little spaghetti string out of my mat. Again, it's nice if you have a towel or something so that your face isn't going to be right on the floor. Just to put that out in front of you. Okay, so the rolled up mat is just to give an extra little bit of padding for the knees. That's all it's about. We're going to bring the knees nice and wide, like we're coming into a nice wide-legged child's pose. Toes are together here. Okay, so this is our starting point. Then we're going to come up into almost like a tabletop. So we want to keep our hips in line with the knees here. And then we're going to come down onto our forearms. So keeping the hips nice and high, maybe working the knees out a little bit wider, depending on how much space you already have. And then we can walk the hands out fully, resting the head down either onto the mat or onto a block, resting the chest down. So this is a little combination between our wide-legged child's pose and our puppy pose that we were doing earlier. So again, feel free to place the hands onto a block here if you want to work a little bit more into the chest. But the important thing here is to keep this line, so to keep the hips in line with the knees. So we're really working into the lower back and into the hips. So if we want to take the full version of this pose, our full frog pose, we're going to bring the knees out. We're going to bring the feet out so that they're in line with the knees. And again, we want nice right angles between the hips, the knees, the heels, and the heels and the feet. So nice frog legs here. And again, just resting the head down, maybe even resting the chest down, but keep a little bit of engagement in that core, so we're still keeping that nice length in the spine. Again, we're going to hold it here for about a minute. And don't feel that you have to come right into the full version. So if that feels not so good, just bring the feet back a little bit until you feel like you're accessing the hips, but you're not stressing them out. If you're feeling this on the knees, a little bit of extra padding, just shifting the weight forward a little bit more, taking the pressure off the knees. So again, adjust yourself within the pose until it feels good. Even if you're in the pose and you feel like getting a little bit wider with the knees, by all means, take it. Again, you can always make a little pillow with the hands if you want to just focus on the hips, forgetting about that upper body so much. Again, we could stay here for a little bit longer, but what we're going to do to get out of this pose, it's really important that we get out quite slowly, particularly if we held this for a few minutes. So we're going to bring the feet together to start with. Okay, so coming back into like a wide-legged child's pose version. Then we're going to come up onto the forearms, and we're going to gently walk the hands back toward the body until we're almost sitting back onto the heels. Okay, so we're still quite deep into the hips here, so it's important that we just don't come flying out of this pose, particularly if we are already quite tight in the hips. Okay, so we want to be nice and gentle. And then from here, we're just going to shift the knees a little bit closer together until we're literally sitting back onto our heels and onto our knees. Lovely. And then we can shift our way back down onto our mats. We can just draw our mats back out. And maybe we'll finish the practice. Feeling that in the hips now, that's great. Maybe we'll finish the practice just with a few nice active closing breaths like we started. So palms toward the ceiling, drawing the shoulders back. So I always say palms open if you're looking to receive energy. Palms closed, like onto the legs if you're looking for a little bit more groundedness. Okay? So we're inhaling, arms out, reaching up, interlocking fingers, exhale, pressing it forward.